This is Ryan with MMA Viking, and we are here with David Bielkheden. How you doing, David?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Today we're going to be talking with one of the legends of Swedish and even European MMA, one of the few people to be both in Pride and the UFC and also grappling at a high level of Abu Dhabi and facing Jacare. And I think your experience is quite unique, and you're really a pioneer MMA for 12 years and in martial arts for almost 20 years. First, I wanted to start and maybe go back a little bit in time. We work with a large Finnish website and have a lot of visitors from Finland. I wanted to talk about your first 4 fights were in Finland, going back to FinnFight 5. When you think back to those times and 2001, 2002, what kind of memories do you have about your MMA and performances back then?
Back in 2001, we didn't train MMA. Nobody knew how to train MMA. What happened was we trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with Rickard Emerson, and I had some experience from Thai boxing and regular English boxing. So my trainer Rickard had been competing in MMA both in Finland before and Holland, and also been in Russia with his trainer Nikolai when he was fighting. So what happened was I started to compete in some grappling tournaments within Europe, and I did well. So my trainer felt that the next step was to try the MMA because it was the ultimate test, for yourself. And he thought that I had enough experience on the ground to be able to compete, and this was the toughest rules in the world. So I was excited, to test my skills. And I fought against Ilir's brother Arben, the first fight, and it was minus 93 or minus 91 kilos. It was like 205, And I think I weighed like 192 with my Fjällräven, big winter jacket on. And but it was a tough fight. He's a tough guy. He's a really nice guy. I know him now.
Yeah.
And his brother too was a super nice guy. But it was a tough fight. He ended up getting the majority decision. But I think I got more damage than him. I cracked his skull open and I closed his left eye. It was back in the day. It was just going at it, no holds bar.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun, and I didn't fight anymore for. I think I stopped fighting MMA for 2 years and just concentrated on the grappling.
Yeah.
Traveled with Rickard a lot to Brazil, back and forth, and met with Murilo Bustamante. So Marco from Finland, Marco Leisner, called me and said, "Listen, we get some Japanese people coming over. It's a thing called Shudo. It's the oldest MMA organization in the world. And if you do well, you can get a shot at fighting in Japan." And I'm like, cool. So me and 2 other guys started training, and this time we actually trained more like we train today, like MMA, standing, grappling, and wrestling, takedowns. So I did well in that fight. I fought a Finnish guy that was Swedish and Finnish or Scandinavian champion in Thai boxing and kickboxing. So I basically took him down and ground and pounded him. It was a pretty quick fight.
And I want to jump to 2008 when you got the call up to the UFC. And I wanted to ask you about some rumors that I've heard. I wanted to ask you for a while, but maybe can you tell me about how the contact came and how you got the call about the fight? Do you remember much about that? Yeah,
I remember I was abroad somewhere. I think it was in Germany when I got the call on business, and Murilo called me. He said, "I have a UFC fight for you. Like the moment we've been waiting for is here." And because I was contracted by Pride before, and UFC bought Pride, so they kept all fighters on contract, but they didn't use these. Used maybe 30% of the fighters, and all others, including me, were locked into the contracts. And some people had hundreds of thousands of dollars that they were supposed to get paid. So you didn't want to give that up either. You know what I mean? So I spent 1 year not fighting, and after 1 year I said, fuck it, I want to fight. I don't care about the money. So I signed off on the contract, and I signed off for a lot of money. And I did a couple of fights. then I got this call, and Murillo said, "Oh, we have this fight," and I said, "Who I'm fighting?" He said, "I don't know yet. It's John Fitch or Diego Sanchez." And I'm like, "Whoa, they're top 5 guys. Like, that's not enough. Give me a break." And it's like, "No, this is." They asked 5 fighters that are already on contract in the UFC that turned this fight down. So I think it's good for you to step up and take the opportunity.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have no doubt that you will make a good fight. And I said, okay, I trust your judgment. You know, you train me, you're my manager, you've also been a mentor of mine. So if you think I'm ready, let's go. And I think it was 3.5 weeks before the fight.
Yeah, and there were rumors that you were maybe even sick going into that fight. I know, so it was late notice, but what was your condition? And I remember watching when you first got into the octagon, it didn't seem like yourself in there. I don't know, was the octagon jitters or what was your state of mind stepping in there?
There was a lot of factors, to be honest. It was I don't want to be the guy who complains, and I don't want to take anything away from Diego, but like you said, I was sick. I was on antibiotics for 10 days. I had a really bad cold in Brazil, and I was very limited with time to train.
Yeah.
And also the reason that we took the fight is that I was in good shape already. But I got sick, and then last sparring before I had to leave Brazil, I was gonna kick a guy in the head, and he just stepped in and kneed me in the thigh. So I got like knocked out, and I couldn't walk for 2 days. Upon that, I got the call that I have to go back to Sweden to get the visa for the States, a work visa, and they didn't know if they had time, so I had to wait for the papers for them to send from Vegas to Rio. When I got the papers, back to Sweden, wait here for 2 days, and then go to Ohio. So it was
wow, crazy.
So I was pretty jet-lagged, you know, sick. My leg hurt. Like, there's got to be a meaning with this. Like, if I can overcome all this, I have to take this fight.
Yeah.
So, and upon that, it was a new experience. The UFC, it's such a media circus around everything, and you have like 3 or 4 lobby calls a day, like three days before the fight.
Yeah.
So it was too much. I got overwhelmed by the whole thing, and it's funny because I met Diego in Vegas in a nightclub a year and a half later, and he said, "I knew that I had that on you. That's always the first time you get overwhelmed, and I know you were a tough guy." And because I asked him, because he always trash talk his opponents, and he didn't do that with me. So I asked him, "Why didn't you trash talk me for the fight?"
Yeah.
And he said, "I know you were a tough guy. You took the opportunity, but 5 people said no.
Yeah.
So I knew when the cage closed that you were gonna stay there, and I know I have this big, you know, how can I say, like, advantage that I've been fighting so much in the UFC before."
Yeah, yeah.
So that's what happened.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, and at that time, I think Diego Sanchez was one of the biggest names at that time, coming off
definitely.
of Tough, and it was a big. Looking back to your career, and you were able to notch a win in the UFC, and then once you dropped to lightweight, you went 1-1. What do you think back when you think of your UFC career in the past? What kind of thoughts do you have? Do you have regrets, or are you happy with what you're able to do?
I think there's no point of looking back. I think you should look forward in your life and career, you know. But it's also good to look back and see what happened, take advantage of the good points. What happened before when you got a contract with UFC, that you got scouted by Joe Silva or somebody in the UFC. They saw you fight, they had somebody look for you, and you know, you got the call.
Yeah.
Today you can have a few fights, you get a pretty good record, you send your papers in, and wow, okay, goes the contract, you know?
Yeah.
So I think the bar of the level of the fighters UFC have gone down. But it's logic, because it expands so much. We don't have so many good fighters that can be top 10, you know?
Yeah.
There can only be one top 10, so it's a good thing that the sport's growing, but it's also, to me, the UFC is not the same thing like 2-3 years ago. I see fights today, I'm like, oh my god, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
These guys could be fighting somewhere in Finland, in the north of Finland, you know, the first fight. And it's a good experience. I want to go back to prove to myself and to all the people that have been training me and believed in me in all these years, to show them and show them myself that I belong to fight with the best in the world. I know that. I just had bad luck and I took some tough shots that many people would not do, but I don't regret it. I'm just saying it's a fact.
Yeah, and talking about your return, and it sounds like you're set on getting back to the octagon. I think a big step is this Saturday at Cage Wars, a pretty high profile promotion. I talked to Ian Dean, the matchmaker. He's really excited about this fight and thinks back to you had a couple exciting matches at Cage Warriors several years ago, and I think Keithel, that you're fighting, I think now you kind of have a target that you're the UFC veteran, so if they can beat someone like you could be a stepping stone, or if you put together another winning streak here, then you can be back in the big show. Tell us about this fight this Saturday and kind of your approach to taking it and fighting for Cage Warriors.
My approach to taking it is like you said, I'm focused on getting back in the UFC or getting back in the big scene. I'm not so focused on which promotion. I'm more about the level of the competition. So I just want to fight the best again. And I don't know much about my opponent. I saw one or two of his fights. He looks big. He's a tall guy. He uses a lot of strength. So he's probably a good challenge. And about Cage Warriors, I think it's a really good promotion. I fought there 2 times before, with success, I might add. And I like the promotions. I like Ian Dean. I think he's very professional, the way that he handles everything. So I've been training hard, and I'm ready to fight.
Great. We want to thank you for your time today, and we look forward to your fight on Saturday, which is going to stream live on MMA Junkie, so it's an international viewing audience. Before we end, do you want to thank any sponsors or talk about anything else that you're doing that fans might be interested in?
Yes, I want to thank my sponsors, Adidas, Fitness Lifestyle, and Sushi Baren. I would also like to thank Fight Play, Hilti, and I want to thank all the viewers and all the people that read my blog on FightPlay.tv, and I want to thank you for taking the time and giving me the opportunity to tell you about my status in my career.
Great. Well, good luck this Saturday, and I think all of Sweden and lots of Europe and fans throughout are looking towards your next step and your march back to seeing your full potential again.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Thanks, David.